This work has required immense sacrifices, time, energy, and sometimes my own well-being. Now I'm reaching out to you for help. Your support can make a tangible difference, not just for me, but for everyone in the fat community.
Stop the cap.
Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we are going to be talking about our dear friend J-Bay. If you're not familiar, we've talked about J-Bay a couple times. J-Bay is a self-proclaimed advocate for equality, inspiring change, and I guess she was featured on CNN. But she is the person that talked about plus-size travel. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember. And recently there has been quite the update to the whole saga, which includes J-Bay starting a GoFundMe to raise $15,000 for, I don't really know what it is. This is the GoFundMe right here, and it goes on to say, support Jay's mission for fat liberation. And so we have raised $140 of the $15,000 goal. So let's go ahead and watch this video and see what this is all about.
Hey friends and future allies, I'm Jay, a passionate advocate for fat liberation. For years, I've been fighting against the discrimination fat people face in travel, healthcare, mental health, and beyond. This mission is deeply personal to me because I know what it's like to be unseen and unheard. I've poured my heart and soul into creating resources, sparking conversations, and so much more to amplify our voices and demand the respect we deserve. But I can't do it alone anymore. This work has required immense sacrifices, time, energy, and sometimes my own well-being. Now I'm reaching out to you for help. Your support can make a tangible difference, not just for me, but for everyone in the fat community. With your contributions, I can continue creating impactful content, organizing events, and driving systemic change.
So I still don't really understand exactly what this money would do. It seems like maybe she's just saying, I don't want to, I'm not making enough money doing this stuff, and so I need you to basically help pay my bills so I can continue doing that stuff. Because from what I've seen, everything that she's done, I mean, it's like making TikTok videos. You know, we have this petition here, which has 21 signatures, where, you know, she goes on and writes this, but I can't imagine this costs a ton of money to create. Maybe it was some time, but I just don't really understand why $15,000 is needed and why that's the goal. It's a little strange to me, for sure.
Toward a more inclusive world. Together, we can empower people to live unapologetically and dismantle the barriers that hold us back. Whether it's a donation, sharing this message, or simply standing with us, every action brings us closer to the world we all deserve.
I know that this is nitpicking a little bit, but when someone has such a heartfelt message and they're not even looking at the camera and they're just clearly reading something, I just think that's kind of funny, but whatever.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Let's make this world better together.
So let's go ahead and read a little bit of what this GoFundMe has. It's not super long, definitely not as long as the as the change. This thing is super long. We're definitely not going to read that whole thing. But let's go ahead and read what this GoFundMe is for. You know, let's try and figure out what this money is going to be doing. So it goes on to say, hello friends. For years, I've been dedicated to advocating for the rights, dignity, and empowerment of fat people, especially when it comes to travel, healthcare, and mental health. As a plus-size creator, I've used my platform to challenge harmful narratives, expose medical bias, and provide resources to help others navigate the world as fat individuals. Whether it's addressing the lack of size-inclusive travel options, fighting against discrimination in healthcare, or raising awareness about the mental health struggles fat people face, I've poured my heart into this work. But despite the impact I've made, I've never asked for financial support in this way. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what it's for, but whatever. I've sacrificed a lot. Time, energy, and my own personal well-being. This is obviously things that she kind of just said in the video. To keep pushing for this work, I've faced personal and financial challenges, and I've kept moving forward because I believe in this mission. Now I'm reaching out to you, my community, to help me continue and elevate this work. Now, so it's interesting because J-Bay definitely is making money in other ways, right? Just if we look at her TikTok, she's definitely doing ads, right? So this is her boyfriend, right? Jake is obsessed with the beard hedger by Manscaped, right? So she's doing ads on TikTok, and she's obviously making money on TikTok. But something that I've definitely noticed, and I'm sure you would notice this as well, and I'm sure she notices this as well as a creator. I said that way wrong, but whatever, it's fine. If we look at this TikTok, right? Support fat liberation, help fund real change for all bodies, right? The body justice movement, fighting for fat equality and accepting all bodies. These are videos that are obviously like trying to advocate, right? But they have, doesn't even have 2,000 views, right? A lot of these are very, very low views. But then once we start talking about like the viral things, right? This is 5.3 million views, 1.8 million views, 17.1 million views. And I think that she has definitely clued into the whole, like, it definitely feels that she knows that the rage baiting does well, and it gets her a lot more views, which on TikTok means more money, right? And so versus the actual liberation stuff that she's trying to do is not making as much money. With all of that being said, I personally do think that there's stuff that J-Bay does that it definitely feels that there's genuine, like there's something genuine behind what she's trying to do and how she's actually trying to help. And I feel like there is content that she makes that does seem genuine, but I also am like, I don't know how much it costs to make this content, right? So like a perfect example is this TikTok right here, where she goes on to say, seeing a new doctor as a plus size person can be terrifying. That's fair. It is true, right? Fatphobia in healthcare is real, but it doesn't have to be the norm. For the first time ever, I had an appointment where my weight wasn't blamed for my health issues. Instead, my doctor focused on my overall well-being. No lectures about my body, no assumptions, just genuine care, which I think that that's a good thing, but also, like, when you are the size of J-Bay, I think that it makes sense, and, like, I don't want to shame doctors. Like, it makes sense for them to be like, I mean, it would feel like they would probably be skipping over something that is obviously an important part of health, which is your size. I know obviously J-Bay would disagree with that, but I think that there's a way that you can talk about the realities without being overly aggressive and overly negative, and I think that that's what can be worked on the most. I don't think that sticking your head in the sand and being like, nope, my size can't have anything to do with my negative health outcomes. Obviously that's not something I agree with. But she goes on to say, she even explained that one of my diagnoses wasn't due to my size, but to the impact of westernized diets. Imagine that, a doctor acknowledging science without bias. For the first time, I left a doctor's office feeling respected and validated. It almost feels like it's like if they say anything I disagree with, I feel, they're not validating me. And then if they say stuff I agree with, I'm like, oh my God, I love them, right? But she goes on to say, in this video, I'm sharing my top tips for preparing for a new provider as a plus-size patient. Set boundaries up front, stay focused on your health goals, redirect conversation when weight comes up, right? So let's go ahead and watch this video. And again, like, I think that there's useful information in this video, and like I can understand like this is her actually being an advocate. But again, as we see, this video has 250 likes compared to hundreds of thousands on the other videos that are a lot more rage baity, right?
Come with me to establish care with a new provider in my hometown, Kennewick, Washington. If you're plus size, seeing a new provider can come with a lot of anxiety and worry. As you can see, I was anxious. There are a few things I
I'm sorry, it's just, as you can see, I am anxious. Okay.
do to prepare for seeing a new provider as a plus size individual. First, I make a list of my health concerns and goals for the appointment so I can keep the conversation on track. I put these in my notes app on my phone. At the start of the visit, I set boundaries by saying something like, I have certain issues I'd like to focus on, and I'd like to not discuss weight or weight loss. If the topic comes up, I redirect by asking for weight-neutral treatments or evidence-based solutions for my symptoms. In my notes app, I will also write affirmations like my body deserves respect no matter its size to remind myself I'm in control of the appointment. Sometimes I'll bring a trusted friend for support or take notes to stay focused.
I think that bringing someone there to, if you feel anxious, that's good advice. And like, I'm not sitting here saying that I agree with this and this is something that I would do and that, it's something that I ever did. But what I am saying is that I can see someone that is anxious about going to the doctor, that is bigger, seeing this and feeling like this content is for them and actually helping them and advocating for them. So much of the other content that I see from J-Bay, it doesn't seem like that's the case at all. It's just regular influencer content where J-Bay happens to be bigger. And so that's why it's like those influencers that are making regular influencer content, I would have a problem if they just started a GoFundMe and said, I am trying to, I need money because I'm advocating for this people. It was like, come on, let's be real. But it feels like because JB's maybe made a few videos that have gone viral about advocating for plus size people, the majority of her content, a lot of it is not that at all. It's just her being a bigger person doing XYZ thing. And so I don't know. I just feel like once you start asking for money, once you start asking other people for money, there's a level of scrutiny there that I think anyone should get, right?
I'm going to address in another video what I do if I feel disrespected or dismissed. It's taken me a long time to learn to advocate for myself, and now I want to share with you what I've learned. Honestly, to my surprise, this doctor's appointment was one of the best I've ever had in my entire life. I felt so seen, heard, and understood. Honestly, advocating for yourself is where it's at.
And I think, again, there's nothing wrong with advocating for yourself and making yourself as comfortable as possible. Where it becomes a problem is when you start to get so much in the weeds that you're delusional to the fact that, like, if someone says, hey, your weight here is a problem, like this is really something that we should focus on. And then you're like, no, absolutely not. The fact that you brought that up is fat phobic, and I can't believe you would say that. It's like, dude, let's be real, bro. JB, the size that you are, like there's clearly going to be negative health consequences from that. And acting like that doesn't exist, I think most doctors are going to be like, they are going to at least have to say something. And if they're not, I can't imagine they're not like after the appointment thinking to themselves like, should I really say something? I don't know what I should do in this situation. I guess I just won't bring it up. Like, I just can't imagine there's doctors that are like, once you leave, they're just like, okay, yeah, I did the best that I could in that situation. There's nothing else I would have done differently. But again, that's just me. Sorry, I went on a super big sidetrack there, but let's continue reading this GoFundMe. This GoFundMe is not about asking for help just for me, but for the mission of fat liberation and empowerment that I've dedicated my life to. Your donations will directly support the following initiatives. Okay. How your donations will be used. Your support will directly contribute to the following. Okay. Advocacy work and outreach. The time and effort I dedicate to reaching out to local businesses, healthcare professionals, and community leaders to educate them on the needs of fat individuals. Your donations will fund the hours I spend organizing campaigns, hosting events, both virtual and in person, and engaging in one-on-one consultations through emails, DMs, and offering advice and resources to those in need. Data collection and surveys, gathering crucial data through surveys, interviews, and outreach to better understand the experiences of fat individuals in healthcare, travel, and other areas. I will allow me to create resources and advocate for concrete change based on real-world experiences. Public advocacy and awareness, funding materials for advocacy work in public spaces such as signs, flyers, and banners to challenge fat phobia and raise awareness. Your support will fund on-the-ground campaigns, including conducting street interviews and interactive demonstrations to engage the public, spark conversations, and provide educational resources in real time. Building free resources, developing and distributing free resources like guides, articles, and toolkits to help fat individuals navigate the challenges they face. These materials will cover topics like self-advocacy in healthcare, how to travel comfortably and confidently as a plus-size person, and ways to build resilience against fat phobia. Amplifying my advocacy work, supporting my ability to continue as a full-time advocate. This includes covering everyday, this seems to be the main thing here, covering everyday expenses like equipment and resources I need to create content, maintain my platform, and keep pushing this mission forward. It will allow me to stay focused on creating impactful, sustainable change without being bogged down by the financial strain of doing it all on my own. So I think this is the main thing, if I'm being completely honest. But again, that's just my opinion. Why your support matters. I've never been the type to ask for donations, and it's not easy for me to do so now. But the truth is, I've poured so much of myself into this mission, sacrificing time, money, and emotional energy because I believe the importance of this work. But to make a bigger impact and take this mission to the next level, I need your help. If you found my content valuable, if you believe in fat liberation, if you want to see real lasting change in how fat people are treated in travel, healthcare, and beyond, I ask you to consider donating to this campaign. Every dollar will go toward building a world that's more inclusive, more empathetic, and overall better for fat people. If you can't donate, sharing this campaign helps, blah, 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 whatever. It's all this kind of the same stuff that everyone says at the end of their campaigns. So there's a lot of like buzzwords and things that make that seem like really intense, and there's all this stuff happening. But at the end of the day, like what all of that means is it makes it so she can continue like making these types of videos, right? Where it's, we can't play the audio, but it goes on to say like, let's get one thing straight. Food has no moral value. It's not good or bad. It's just food. And guess what? Fat people are allowed to eat what they want without justifying it to anyone. And obviously it's a bunch of things of her eating, right? As someone who lives with an ED, I've spent years unlearning the lies society tells us. Lies like you have to earn your food, that you should feel guilty for enjoying it, that you have to work it off later. None of that is true. Again, like, yeah, those things are important, but it's also important to understand that like food can be dangerous, and in excess of it over and over and over and over again is a problem as well. And that's something that you should not just accept and be like, well, there's nothing I could do about it. The most frustrating thing about a J-Bay or someone that makes posts like this is like, I understand the mentality that you might have to be like, I don't want to feel those things, right? I want to fight against that urge to be like, oh, food is good or bad. Yes. But you should also fight against the urge of being like, I can eat anything whenever and my size has no problem and no bearing on my health. That is also just like a little delusional and a little just untrue as well, right? And so going on, the truth is food is fuel, food is joy, food is connection, and fat people deserve to experience all without shame, guilt, period. Another hard truth, shame isn't a weight loss plan. Judgment doesn't make anyone healthier, and your unsolicited opinions about my food choices, they don't belong here. You say that, but again, I know for a fact that you're posting this because you're hoping that a lot of people will comment and it will garner a lot of attention, right? Fat people don't owe you diets. We don't owe you weight loss journeys. We don't owe you a damn thing. We're allowed to just exist and enjoy life while we're at it. Yeah, of course, that is true. But again, it is also okay if someone wants to lose weight, and at the same time, if your weight is causing you serious problems to a point where you can't even fly and you're uncomfortable even doing that, it makes sense to maybe look inward and be like, why is this happening, and what can I do to change that so I can improve the quality of my life, instead of saying everyone else is a problem. The whole world literally needs to change to fit me and people like me, because all of them are wrong and I am in the right? To not be able to see the hypocrisy there is a little silly in my opinion. And then she goes on to say, so if my eating offends you, that's your problem, not mine. I refuse to shrink my body. Yes. Or my appetite to make you comfortable. My body, my rules, my food, end of story. Again, yeah, that's fine. But if your body is getting to a point where you can't do XYZ things, you can't blame other people for that happening, right? If you decide that you are okay with making your body to a size where you can't fit on public seating and all of that stuff, we could say, well, it's your body. You did that. Too bad, so sad, right? Like, society doesn't have to change the entire way that it's built to conform to you because you decided to put yourself in this position, right? And so it's like not being able to see the hypocrisy in making posts like this, and then also being like, but at the same time, I'm going to make this whole petition where I'm literally asking, there's one part of this petition where she's literally asking for, right here, all individuals, regardless of their body size, have the right for a comfortable and accessible seating in all public spaces. This includes airlines, theaters, and public transit, classrooms, and more. Minimum seat dimensions must accommodate all body types, with airlines and public transport providing seating with a minimum width of 22 inches and a depth of 18 inches, right? So it's like but I'm also asking people to change the entire way that the public is built to conform to me and what I have decided to do, right? So to not be able to see the hypocrisy in that is a little funny to me. So that is the update on J-Bay. As of recording this video, the GoFundMe has $140 raised, and it looks like there is 22 petitions, or 22 people have signed this petition to demand equal rights for fat individuals. I thought it was a little crazy that she is literally starting a GoFundMe to raise money for I don't really know what. I'm genuinely curious what y'all think down in the comments section down below. If you made it to the end of the video, a thumbs up, subscribe, all of that stuff really helps. A comment as well. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.